Hey everybody, my name is Johnny Kazumka and welcome back to the Ohio Valley Real Estate Reports, brought to you by Harvey, Goodman, Realtor. We are broadcasting live in our St. Clairsville, Ohio office studio, and today I am talking to you about the top 7 reasons why you should start investing in real estate. If you haven't already, if you're thinking about it, this is a good place to at least get an idea. So what do I mean by investing in real estate? Well, basically you can invest in almost anything. You can invest in Bitcoin, you can invest in CDs, certificate of deposits. You can invest in stocks and portfolios, IRAs, all these different types of investments. But why real estate in particular? I'm not encouraging you to just invest into real estate by itself, but why should you at least consider? Well, today we're going to talk about all that and more. If you're watching this, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Any questions you have, I should be able to see them in real time somewhere right here. And I'll do my best to answer in real time as well. But without any delay, let's see the top 7 reasons why you should be investing in real estate. All right, reason number 1, passive income. It's a stat that nearly 90%, if not more, of 90% of all millionaires made their fortune with real estate. And that is something you can Google. Don't just trust me. Go ahead and find it yourself. Or at least they have some form of investment in real estate related. And why is that? Because of the passive income. It is something that supplements your daily, your active income that you are working, your 9 to 5, doing all these things. This is something that works for you in the background. And there's 2 really sources of passive income. You have, I'd call it as passive active, I guess. You have your monthly generation of income that the rent actually brings in. And the passive that I would actually call the more passive side is the equity, as far as owning the property for a certain length of time. Let's just say you bought a home for $100,000 today. 10 years from now, it's going to typically appreciate. Now, the biggest argument that we have as far as investing in real estate today is the potential for the market to take a little bit of a dive, and everybody is talking about that. If you watch my last podcast, you'll know that Ohio Valley, the greater Ohio Valley, this immediate area of the country, is pretty much immune to large-scale economical impacts on housing value. We are one of the cheapest places to live in the world. So if you are one of those people that have been on the fence and you're watching this now about investing in real estate in the Ohio Valley, I'm here to tell you, you can do it safely. The worst case scenario under all my time working with my investor clients, the worst case scenario that I've ever seen, you break even. It's not, our market doesn't have the massive swings that, let's just say, Glendale, Arizona, or Coastal Carolina, or all these other places across the country where you see 6-figure differences of equity up or down in a 12-month period. We just don't have that type of fluctuation. Usually our market is a very slow growth, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Very simple. Reason number 2, tax benefits. You can take advantage of multiple different tax benefits, from things like depreciation to self-employment tax to no self-employment tax, and to deductible expenses. So things that let's just say you have a base salary of $60,000 a year. You can depreciate your property, and I believe the IRS allows you to depreciate it by 27 and a half years, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to ask an accountant, maybe bring someone onto this podcast to talk specifically. But let's say your salary was $60,000 and you bought a house for $100,000. And the IRS will allow you to depreciate that by 27 and a half years. You basically just divide that $100,000 by 27 and a half, come up with the number, and you can write that off on an annual basis. So now you're paying less in tax, and that's just one version of it. There's also things like deductible expenses. If you are paying for things like utilities, electric, water, gas, typically you can deduct those as well. So there's multiple different avenues. So not only are you generating passive income, you're also starting to shield some of your active income. And there's some instances where you can shield it pretty much up to almost 100%. Now, again, this is more for a tax pro and accountant kind of question, but just so you know, there are massive benefits, not just in generating income, but also shielding your active income from going to the IRS. Reason number 3 is leverage. Leverage basically is when you purchase property, you can put a small amount down on the property. You don't have to pay for, when you buy stocks, for example, let's just say you're buying some Amazon stock, or you're buying trying to think of anything. It might be, let's just say a stock is $20 a share and you want to buy 1,000 shares. Well, you're spending $2,000, right? Or am I doing math right? You want to buy 100 shares. Okay, you're spending $2,000. Okay. The point there is that you can't really just get a down payment and then make those payments as you go. This is something that you can actually buy something that's worth a tremendous amount of money. Typically, real estate is the single largest financial transaction that people will make in their lifetime. So it helps with the sense that you can actually purchase something of such a large financial, such a price tag, and you can do it with seemingly, little amount down. Now, there are some things you have to nuance. You can't use government-backed loans or first-time buyer programs to use to create income-producing properties, and that's what I'm here for in the first place, is to make sure that all those pieces line up. But again, just so you know that you can buy something that has massive amount of value without having to put the entire bill up front. Reason number 4, save time with syndication. You can also leverage other people's time and passively investing in real estate projects. In this case, an active investor will track the deal and tackle it. So basically, you can partner up with property managers. You don't necessarily, put it this way, you don't have to know how to swing a hammer. You don't have to know how to drive nails or hang drywall. It helps. There's a term that we use called sweat equity. You have to sweat. You have to actually go and do the physical labor for the work itself in order to see all of the benefit from it. But you don't necessarily have to. There are other ways to manage a property, and basically we focus on things, really what's known as a cap rate. It's basically NOI over NOE, your net operating income over your net operating expense. And if you are allowed within a budget to basically offset some of that expense towards or to increase that NOE, yeah, it's going to eat into your profits, but the value isn't always just associated with dollars and cents. You could certainly see value by owning something and having someone else manage the property. And there's several brokerages, including ours, that do property management. So if you're interested, after this podcast, feel free to give me a shout, and I can explain that a little bit further. Reason number 5, we kind of talked about it already, appreciation. Over time, real estate tends to appreciate in value. It's not like a car. For example, when you buy a brand new car, the second you drive it off the lot, the very first thing, it depreciates. Sometimes almost by half. It's crazy. Real estate is certainly not an exception to that. Things do go up and down, but in our market specifically, you would have to look backwards probably to something to the degree of the Great Depression to see really any major significant real estate value change. Our market has grown even during the most difficult times. Think of, the last recession of 2008 and what life used to look like. And, see how many people here, yeah, it was a difficult time, but people weren't panicking. They weren't losing their entire life savings and their home's equity as they would be in other places, maybe, something in the states of Florida or California. It was a major crisis for them. Here, we're relatively stable. Also, like I said, it's one of the most cost-effective places in the world to buy. The Ohio Valley is one of the cheapest places in the world to live in. Cash flow. We hit on this a little bit earlier as well, just in a different manner. It generates sort of active income. So your passive income, I would call your equity. Things that, through the length and time of ownership for property, you are going to see the benefits of that property maturing. And when I mentioned cap rate earlier, cap rate is just another fancy way of saying how long does it really take for an investment to pay itself off. So if you bought a property for $100,000 and it generated $10,000 a year in active income after all expenses, after everything else was included, you basically are saying, okay, I can pay this $100,000 deficit off in 10 years. It capitalizes within 10 years. Then it's 100% profit. Now, that's a very crude explanation of that, but that's sort of what we're talking about. You can almost look at that as the same way of saying I have a 10-year bond that after I put my money into it, I put, just say I bought a $100,000 house, put $10,000 down on the property, which we were talking about leverage earlier. I put $10,000 down. In 10 years, I'm going to turn that $10,000 into $100,000. You see the difference? You see how that math would work? And that's basically using someone else to pay off your mortgage. That's seriously, if you're paying rent right now and you're watching this, paying rent is the equivalent of paying a mortgage at 100% interest. That's all it is. You're paying someone else's debt. So, if you're thinking if you're thinking of being a real estate investor, a good place to start is just your typical run-of-the-mill standard family, single-family home. You can get into the duplexes and triplexes, but, you kind of want to get some stable ground under your feet if you've never done this before. And again, that's why I'm here to help. And then lastly, it's a tangible asset. Tangible asset meaning tangible. You can actually go and physically touch the property. It's actually real as compared to something like your bonds, your stocks, securities, where they're not exactly tangible. Yeah, you can get a stock certificate. Yeah, you can have something, if you want a piece of paper, but it fluctuates daily. I mean, if you haven't seen what's happened in the last, 24 months, everyone's been up and down. The market's been a roller coaster, but our real estate market, if nothing else, reason number 7, tip number 7 here, go back and pick a stock. I don't care what it is. Carnival Cruise. I don't care if it's Bloomin' brand from Outback Steakhouse, one of my favorite ones. I don't care what you look at. Pick a stock on the New York Stock Exchange and go back and look at the last 12 months. And if you can go back, look at the last 24 months. And you're going to see spikes. It goes up and down like crazy. Then go to the Ohio Valley Real Estate Index. Just type in real estate prices over the last 24 months in the Ohio Valley, and you're going to see a slow trend line moving upward. And that's what I'm talking about. It's when you have a little bit of excess money. Let's just say, you've been sheltering in place financially since COVID. It's made a wonderful mess out of all of these things. Let me switch back to the main cam. Let's just say you've been thinking, you're on the fence. The whole point to what I was talking about before is that leverage. Take some of your money now, if you have the means to splurge a little, and to consider at least financing in part, or if not all, of your next real estate investment. Real estate rivals food and water for basic human need. You can have a full belly, you can have plenty of food and water to eat and drink, but if you're sleeping on the sidewalk and it's February, at least in our area, you're having a very tough life. There's always a demand for real estate. There's always a demand for lodging, housing. And our area is no exception, especially with some of the potential projects that people still seem to talk about looming on the horizon, the cracker plants, some highway developments, this and that. Who knows if and when that will ever come in. But if it should, you will be very glad that you watched this podcast, and you'll be very glad that you bought your first real estate investment property before that boom should happen. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. If you have any questions, my name is Johnny Kazemka. I'm with Harvey, Goodman, Realtor. You can find my information in the posts below. Or you can message me privately. But thanks for watching again. Have a great day. Stay safe.